that's not how it is. That's not the reality of civil asset forfeiture. Here's the reality of civil asset forfeiture. The majority of forfeitures are less than $10,000. They aren't taken from hidden compartments in cars, and they aren't cartel drug money. An actual civil asset forfeiture is more like this. Your local octarian artist, we'll call her Grandma Moses, she just sold 10 paintings at the local flea market. She's got a few $1,000s hidden under the seat of her vehicle as she leaves. There's a local officer who's got legitimate information that drug dealers are also selling drugs at that local flea market. So he's watching as people leave the flea market, and he stops Grandma Moses, and he talks to her, and he says, "Hey, do you mind if I can search your vehicle?" And Grandma Moses, she loves the police. She's been grown up to respect the police. She knows that we're out there to protect her. She says, "Sure." The officer finds the $10,000, and he seizes it under civil asset forfeiture as drug money. Grandma Moses says, "Well, wait a second, that's my money. I've got it selling paintings." The officer says, "Prove it. Prove that it's not drug money, and you can have it back." She doesn't know what to do. She calls the local prosecutor and gets the same story. The prosecutor says, "Yes, under civil asset forfeiture law, you have to prove that you're not the criminal. You have to prove that that's not drug money to get your money back." She calls the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department tells her the same thing. She keeps complaining, and they finally tell her, "Look, you need to stop calling us and complaining, or we're going to look at you real hard. You want us to prove that you're a criminal? We're going to look at you real hard, and we're going to prove you're a criminal." Now she really doesn't know what to do, because the last time they looked at her, they took her $10,000. So she stops complaining. They got her way. But do you think she really has that same respect for the police department and for the officers? Do you think she still trusts them to protect her? No, that's exactly right. No is the correct answer. How do I know this is the real reality of civil asset forfeiture? Well, I saw it firsthand, and it happened to me. I was a CID agent in Texas. I was running a counter-drug task force. We didn't conduct civil asset forfeitures, but we worked with other local agencies that did conduct forfeitures. After an arrest of a low-level drug dealer out in front of his grandmother's house, we were walking to this other agency. They were carrying the grandmother's television and furniture and all their household items out of the house. My partner asked the officers, "What are you doing?" And they said, "Well, she has to prove that she did not know what her grandson was doing, and she has to prove that she paid for this through legitimate money, and then she can have it back." And my partner, he looked at me and goes, "That doesn't seem right, does it?" And I said, "No," and we left. We couldn't stop it, but we didn't have to be a part of it. I also own a cattle ranch in Oklahoma. While I was assigned to this task force in Texas, my wife was home running the cattle ranch, and we had hired hands working for us. One of those hired hands was out running an errand, and he saw a spool of copper wire at a soon-to-be oil field site, and he stole that copper wire. Local citizens saw him do it and called the sheriff, as they should have. Sheriff came up and arrested him, as they should have. Stealing is wrong regardless of who does it. The problem was, when they arrested him, they also took my truck. Now, I just assumed that they seized my truck as evidence, and I called the sheriff's department. I said, "Hey, when are you going to be done with my truck?" And I was told, "We're not going to be done with it. You're not getting your truck back. We're taking that as under the civil asset forfeiture laws." I said, "Well, you can't do that. I'm an innocent owner. The law says that I'm an innocent owner." And they told me, "Well, prove you didn't know he was going to do that." I mean, think about that for a second. How do you prove that you don't know something? I mean, it's easy to prove you know something. You say what you know. But how do you prove that you don't know something? And that's what they were asking the citizen to do to get their rightful property back, was prove that they did not know something. Not under civil asset forfeiture. I didn't let it go. And after about 6 months, I did get my truck back. But it was an uphill fight the whole way. The average citizen wouldn't have had the knowledge, the tenacity, or the resources that I had being who I was to get my truck back and win that fight. I was a federal law enforcement agent, and they were calling me a dirty cop. They were threatening me with criminal charges and treating me like a criminal, all because I was fighting for my rights and trying to get my property back. What makes it worse is there's even actual classes out there teaching police officers to treat people like this to get them to shut up and go away. Even elected legislators fighting for asset forfeiture reform are treated like this. My friend Senator Kyle Loveless in Oklahoma has been trying to get a measure on to the Oklahoma legislator for 2 sessions now. Can't even get out of committee. He's being called a terrorist, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and worse for trying to effect a change. How strong can your position be if you won't even let it come up for debate? The primary function of police and judicial system is to protect the citizens. The police, we protect the citizen from the criminals, and the judicial system is there to protect the accused. It's not the best system, but it's the best system in the world. When the police and judicial system become the antagonists and no longer protect the rights of the accused, we have failed the greater mission of protecting the rights of the citizen. We have created innocent victims. Currently, the standard of proof to seize an individual's property is preponderance of evidence. I actually have to get more proof to get a warrant than I do to seize somebody's property. If the investigation stops at the side of the road after the property is seized, how are you going to get this evidence? You're not going to get any evidence of innocence. If you don't investigate the crime, you have an assumption of a crime. You don't have evidence of a crime. How do we fix this? 1, the burden of proof needs to be put back on the government as constitutionally intended. It means the police are going to have to start investigating the assumed crime, not just taking the property and moving down the road. If $400,000 an offender is evidence of a crime and should be taken, then it's evidence of a crime. Investigate the crime. We as police officers need to do our job, protecting the rights of the citizens. We can't serve the citizen while simultaneously depriving them of their natural and constitutional rights. One innocent victim is one too many and does way more damage than letting the criminal get away. President Trump, I want to thank your administration for your support of law enforcement. After the last 8 years, it's a wonderful and welcome change. I know you're being told by other members of law enforcement and associated groups that asset forfeiture reform is a bad idea, that it'll help the cartels and terrorists. I want you to know that there's many of us out in the field who don't agree with that sentiment. As law enforcement officers, we can't step on the rights of the citizens we are sworn to protect under the guise of protecting them. This country was founded of the people, by the people, and for the people with certain inalienable rights. That is what made this country strong, and that is what will make this country strong again. Thank you.